Give them the check.
Yeah, it's ready. I mean, again, it's
For that time.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, something you guys do. Yeah, just maybe remind me and I'll be. Okay. So if you do, I guess, if you do. Okay, please.
Okay. Yeah.
Township officer.
I got this. So I can.
Right.
Little Marcus.
Right.
Behind my.
Hey, Joe. Hey, how are you? Good, man.
Okay.
You got more. Big gorgeous.
It's both of. Yes.
We're gonna do this on this one, right?
Okay.
I gave it up. How are you? Start the committee of the whole at 6 P M. Today is Thursday, June 12th. City Council Chambers. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Or please do the roll call.
Alderman Roll.
Here.
Alderman McGee.
Here.
Alderman Carr. Alderman Fairwell.
Here.
Alderman Johnson. Alderman Montoya. Alderman Ruthenberg.
Here.
Four present, Your Honor.
Forum for committee. Public comment, just a reminder, the public comment period is not a time for dialogue. The public comment period is for the mayor and aldermen of the city to receive input from their community. It is in fact a one-way communication to the city council. The city's administration and department heads are available for discussions after. Is there any public comment? Any public comments? Not, first agenda item would be discussion regarding city-owned properties to be placed for bid.
And Mark had the address on that one.
Yes. Did we ever put out Lincoln and, who's Lucky Son?
Yes, we did, but we did not, accept the bidder, stuff like that. So this, discussion item regarding, city-owned property, so we have recently acquired a property at 2920 139th Place. It was originally scheduled for demolition, however, the building official, myself, did a walkthrough of the building, I think it could be salvageable. It's been boarded up properly for the last 10+ years. So we thought we'd put it out to bid and see if anybody that could rehab it and get it back on the tax rolls.
All right.
Mark, did you say the address was again, please?
2920 139th Place.
You want to redo the other ones too, like the Borough Bowl, another one last shot? Or try it there now?
I do have somebody that's interested that reached out to me recently about 1859. So I mean, if we like do
I put them all back on.
1859, Baroque, 12801 Lincoln, and there might be another.
Just curious, is this a residential or commercial?
Yes, residential.
Next, we have discussion regarding parking restrictions at motor vehicle repair shops. So this is brought to us by the police department a few meetings ago. We tabled it for further discussions. Space of Donald, Deputy, Interim Chief Slattery would like to talk about this. The cars at the auto shops and muffler shops. We're trying to be creative in the way we write this ordinance, but basically there's a couple of places in town that park them on top of each other like a junkyard, and don't want to hurt the good players, so we got to be very careful. I think Aaron found some language that would basically give some egress issues.
Yeah, I drafted an ordinance based on a very brief conversation with Acting Chief Slattery. But then I also put into the packet what the Blue Island City Code is right now for those type of repair shops. Then I did examples from Berwyn and the city of Chicago. Both Berwyn and the city of Chicago do it based on the number of bays that are within the repair shop. So say there's 3 bays, it's like 2 parking spots outside by bay, and each car outside has to have their own parking spot, something like that. The one that I drafted is very similar. Just don't keep inoperable vehicles out there for more than 14 days, no cars with tarps or covers, and that every vehicle would have to have their own spot, and you couldn't block any access to the property.
Well, that sounds good, and I'm glad we're addressing. I just have one question about the first bit of language, make sure I say. one of the things that's not permitted is a car that's actively being repaired. In other words, you don't want them doing work outside. They want it in the shop.
Right.
Okay.
Any other questions? Originally, we were talking about putting a number on it, then that would be disproportionate on some people that have larger parking lots, smaller parking lots. I think this is a good middle ground. Any other questions? Now, moving on to discussion regarding amendments to city code related to the cell.
This has a few different updates. Alderman McGee brought to our attention that there was a 2022 ordinance that had not been updated in the online code, so we will be going to American Legal to talk to them about that. But what you see here is what should be in the online code, so these revisions are made to what should be in that online code. The first revision relates to non-discrimination. These are things that we need to put into the code in regards to so that we won't discriminate based on gender identity, things like that. The second revision is a request from the building department. Originally, our code says that owners have a duty to inform the building department of property for sale. The building department would like that to be changed to property conveyance. So any property conveyance, if it's a sale, if they're transferring between family, if there's an estate that passes property over, the city building department would like to see everyone get an intent to sell.
So I was also discussing with Alderman. I sold my house to myself that I was living in the city, made me do an intent to sell inspections before I was mayor, so they're saying that was never part of our code. And I lived in my house 15 years, this was 4 years ago, I never moved out of the house. They said I had
Sold
to.
it to-
I sold it to myself, I took it out of LLC and sold, put it in a sole proprietorship.
Well, it would be a sale then, so.
No, I just transferred, I switched the legal title. I didn't put it up for sale.
So yes, I guess previously you would not have
But
technically
they
had
made
to
us
do
do
that.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Bob would like everyone to do that now.
And that's why I kind of have an issue with the blanket use of the word conveyance, because if in fact, let's say you're putting your wife on title, then you would have to get an inspection.
So I agree with you all on this,
If you,
because I think,
if you decide to,
I know, I agree with you, Tom, but
if in fact, you decide to do some estate planning and put your property in a trust, then you would have to do that as well, even though, you know, you're still technically on private property, be living there for a year, 10 years. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, just as maybe another example, over the last 20 years, I've moved my house in and out of a trust for a couple of times for not, and the various reasons, it just happened. So that would then trigger me to. Under that.
they didn't ask you to do an intent to sell inspection yourself?
No,
They did for me?
they did not.
I
I don't have any friends there either, I didn't.
If you have a corporate entity and you can.
Yeah,
Right there, back and forth. So.
I don't know that the building department thought of that specific instance. They were more discussing properties where someone dies and the estate passes it down to another owner.
So I agree with that, we talked about that, we need to be more specific, I think, in here then.
I think so.
Because I agree, the house, the occupants are no longer alive, or not living, they're, a family member's buying, we call it, it's not a arm's length transaction. It still needs an inspection, but if it's Gabe's living there, he now has got married, and he's putting his wife on the title, I mean, he's still living in the house.
No.
So we gotta figure out a way to make that separation.
Instead of using conveyance, I think, we talked about occupancy, so newly occupied, something to that effect. Where, yeah, parties are, yeah, if it is. And then one last thing, two things, where the protected classes are, I had mentioned, adding, if possible, adding immigration status and, border protection status as two protected classes.
So it's not,
I don't know.
it's not statutory.
Okay.
These were things that are absolutely required to be put in there.
Okay.
I'll have to research it a little more, but I don't think there would be harm in adding additional. So if that's allowed, we can add that in if everyone's in agreement.
And then the very last part, and I'll be done, portion about adding the water meter. at the buyer's expense, or the owner's expense. How's, and maybe Tom can speak on this, with us rolling out the new water meter reading, equipment, would this encompass that when they get a meter, is it older meter, is it the new system? Yeah.
Yeah, it would definitely, it would be something that would expedite the process that we're doing, right? So right now, we've only done the one commercial route, and then as we replace meters, what we want to do is a lot of meters still need replacement in town, the vast majority of them, right? Because they're several years past their life, it causes the billing system a lot of problems. So this was actually a market initiative originally, but the idea is doing everything we can to replace as many meters and to get more meters replaced. And so here's a process where houses are, we have homes changing hands. This is a good time in the process.
Other towns have done this.
Yeah.
I heard of this when Mark brought this up with Mike. We replace meters now if they break. So it'd be like the same thing, be on a work order, we replace it while the house is empty. They're in there anyway doing inspection, stuff like that, at the point of sale.
Yeah.
And a lot of towns already do this, so.
That's reasonable, is it gonna be the news?
Yeah, that's what I said,
Okay.
it's the AMR compatible.
Okay.
Right, yeah, so with the new meters that would be installed would be the radio read meters. So this is an effort to get as many of those in town as possible, as fast as possible, because eventually we have to have all. And they're not cheap.
And then they would then order that from the city, or would we somehow? Okay.
We would, you know, it's a simple appointment process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other question, Alder?
So I just want to understand, this was the original change ordinance was not published on blinds and. Correct.
To this specific chapter.
Okay, and so
So
I guess my
chapter
question,
92.
what have we been enforcing for ourselves?
We have been enforcing what they have, what we had passed. There wasn't large differences. but
Okay,
Yeah, the building department had the ordinance as passed, it just hadn't been updated on.
all right, so, okay, in other words. We passed an ordinance, it didn't get published, but the new ordinance was being enforced.
Yeah, as far as I know, yeah.
Did that consider just the period of time, if I'm remembering correctly, the window of time for the intent, the notice or intent to sell? Is that what that?
Yeah,
Yeah, it wasn't major changes.
and we asked Bob, he doesn't think nobody's been penalized if they did miss some time. Any other questions? Now moving on to ordinance amending chapter 118, contractors and bidders. The city code regarding insurance requirements.
There's two amendments here. If the first one is not to require a permit for the painting of residential homes. And then the second one is to require insurance for any contractor that has specific requirements. We've seen it in many other municipalities.
Not to have insurance or?
To have it, we will require it now.
And until now, were we requiring painters to get they have to pay or not? We're just codifying.
Yes, we're
Yeah,
codifying. Yeah, right now, you don't have to get a permit now, you still don't have to get a permit unless you're hiring an outside contractor, we just wanna know if they have insurance, because they fall, ladder falls aside.
Right.
Then as far as, and so they don't need to have a permit to paint. But, I know from being on historic that, some colors have got awful. And, they're decided to paint their house, chartreuse. Is there something that you can do?
We've discussed color palettes in the past,
Yeah.
as an alderman and as mayor, I have discussed it. The only houses that are under that code is the ones that are designated historical landmarks,
Yeah.
and then that has jurisdiction through that committee. Everybody else, you're free to paint your house purple.
Yeah, I was on plan commission for a while, and I would love to have found a way to do it, but no, you can't.
And we have discussed, I know we discussed it when I was an alderman.
Yeah, right.
And I know we discussed it again since it says it up there. But if you're painting your house yourself, like you're going to an arch, you don't have to do any of this. It's as if you're, Joe Schmo contracting.
Yeah.
Any other questions regarding that one? Moving on to E, an ordinance, Kansas City Code, business licensing requirements, just want to ask you for insurance.
Right.
This is something we discussed when we were passing it, I think it never was codified. When people are applying for a business license, we want a current insurance policy for their business. We discussed it, it just don't think made it into the ordinance, so we're making sure it's in the ordinance. Right, moving on, we have green alleys. So there's 3 green alleys that we were approved for a grant, one off 123rd Street, one next to City Hall here, another one off Vermont Street. And then there's 3 more we were approved for, but those probably won't be done until we haven't gone out to bid, but they're all up here behind, between Greenwood and Western. But these are the 3, they're 123rd Maple, and the other 2 are off Vermont Street here for green alleys. We got the grant, went to bid, the low bidder was $749,860 from Acura Incorporated. The engineer's estimate was $900,000, there was 7 different bidders. Triggy Construction is the ones that did the ones we've already done, but unfortunately they were one of the low bidders. I think they did an excellent job. This company was verified with other towns they've done green alleys with, they had quality marks. So Burke is recommending the low bidder of Acura Incorporated, which is about $150,000 less than the estimate.
Then is the grant for a certain amount, we get to use the money elsewhere that didn't get spent, or is it just covering the
Just covering
expense?
the 3. Just these.
Okay.
Now, the 123rd alley is a T alley. They're hoping to get the entire T done. When we applied for it, they said we might not be able to get the entire T done, so maybe we have some wiggle room now to get the entire T done. All of it.
And then, the materials that are being used is similar to the ones that we've been using, or the ones they, like the permeable pavement?
None of the pavers, like ones off by the canal, yeah.
Okay.
I think that's been, those 3 went over very well. So
Yeah, oh, yeah.
that's not. Any other questions or anything regarding this? Okay. Statewide building code changes and updates.
So there was the new law recently passed that requires minimum construction standards in all Illinois municipalities. So at the next meeting, you are going to see amendments to the ordinance to adopt the 2021 International Business Code, the 2021 International Existing Business Building Code, the Fire Code, etc. We currently have 2012, and those are outdated according to this new law. The building department has been working on this transition, what those ordinances will look like.
So this is just for information right now.
Well, it'll be on the next agenda.
I highly stress that it's gonna be a big packet, right?
Yeah.
When you all are gonna do get next pack, when we get these, please review them, because, I mean, because they're gonna automatically go into effect anyway, right?
Yeah.
So just in case we wanna change anything, we can change something, that's in there, we can't change it where it's lowering the standard, but we wanna make it more stringent, which we had with other things in the past, like we've done tonight, then we can. But they're making us adopt this automatically July 1st, no action by us, but if we want to start reviewing it, making changes to that. Yeah, you guys might have heard that. Think about the possible stress code. Yeah.
The department heads have been looking at it, so I do believe they will be giving me a list of amendments to put in with the ordinances.
All right, PZBA meeting findings.
Just look at my.
So the first one is Hanel, Hanel Eco Solutions
Recycling,
and Fire Team Road, right?
yeah, 3301.
They put any additional requirements?
Do we know what they're recycling?
I do not know what they're recycling. The additional requirements they put in, that all the recycling activities have to be conducted in the building and no materials can be stored outside except for initial materials.
It seems like it's probably okay, but before we vote, I just would like to know what they're recycling.
Get that information before the council. That's the first one. Then the next one, this one I know a little bit more about. State Farm Insurance around 23rd and Western would like to put a second floor apartment on the building. That also passed. PZBA. And with these restrictions, the owner shall provide city approved easements to construct, maintain, and use the required external staircase to provide ingress to the building. And then it would fall under all new construction codes of the city. Are there any questions regarding this?
That changed the.
It would probably be considered multi-use if they do the entire second floor. Same thing with any other building, unless it's got apartments upstairs.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm not supposed to ask this, but it's just, this is gonna give a property tax break, which is.
No, probably
It doesn't, no.
Because, so for example, if we, this building here, we cut this in half to make residential, then the property tax rate might happen, because now it's multi-use, not just commercial. He's adding additional square footage on top of the commercial
Oh,
space.
oh.
It should. Someone else asked me that too,
Okay,
because unless rules have changed that drastically since I was an assessor, he's got commercial space. Now, if he's dividing that current
I
commercial
see,
space,
huh,
like Three Sisters did, the second floor and I was residential.
right,
you
it's
know,
existing,
Existing.
I see, I did.
So my answer is shouldn't.
Right, okay,
It
okay.
should increase property.
Actually, for his sake, I wish it would decrease it, but that's the point.
Next one is that. Oh, yeah, it's too far, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 2336 Street is a bungalow that had a second floor apartment added on, years and years of, owner occupied, there was never any issues, they had a neighbor come to PZBA, I believe, that spoke highly in favor of this. Did it pass? It passed, I
It
think,
did.
right? They said the kitchen in the basement has to be removed. Both dwelling units shall maintain compliance with all applicable building codes. So basically, they're asking for this single family home that was made 2 units to stay 2 units. Um,
So you're saying that there was an addition already, that exists, it's saying there, because when I looked at on Google and maybe it showed me the wrong house, it looked like a bungalow that hadn't been modified.
It's a
Maybe-
bungalow. It's big dormers on the outside.
Oh, okay,
I drove past it.
okay,
I'm generally in favor of this. This seemed
Yeah.
to be a very safe building from the building department's perspective. It was done correctly, with separate utilities, so I'm not gonna fight too hard on it unless you guys have a.
is there multifamily living in it now?
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I don't like about it is added vehicles, frankly, but, okay.
Any other comments? There was another one that was on the agenda for CBA, but they never came. It's a 5-unit building. They're asking to maintain as a 3, but it was a single family house. So that one I would speak very differently.
Yeah.
And that's in your ward.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that one, yeah.
That never came to the meeting, so they didn't.
Huh, interesting,
Yeah.
yeah, that's an interesting place, yeah, okay,
That one I did have opinions on, so did the police department.
yeah, yeah.
All right, 2946 Wyerton Road. This is the same plastic one, good,
I think so. It's a motor vehicle repair.
okay.
That's fine.
There, well, they had waters.
Yeah,
The repair work shall be limited to trucks and trailers. The property will not be used for storage or parking of vehicles, trailer materials, or equipment, except for those vehicle trailers, materials, and equipment requiring the approval. Special use, all vehicles and trailers shall be parked, stored in designated parking spaces on the property. Vehicles may not be stored outdoors on the property for longer than 14 days or longer than 7 days once repairs are complete. No vehicle should be repaired outdoors, and all storage materials, auto parts, supplies, and equipment shall be within an enclosed structure. No sales of vehicles shall be conducted on the property. The property shall be screened entirely by a opaque fence measuring at least 6 feet in height. Well, these guys seem like they had a lot of requirements. Is there any other things you guys want to add or questions from the council? Was this the truck repair, Mike, that existed before over there?
No, it's next to it.
It's down this one old warehouse somewhere.
Yes.
The warehouse that was owned by the land bank.
Oh, okay. Right, well. Any questions, concerns? If not, that will be in the next meeting. All right, next we have I, discussion regarding redevelopment agreement 13308 Old Western Avenue. So I think it's pretty public information now. AJ Weir has recruited a barbecue restaurant to the old Latin Rhythm building on Old Western.
Oh.
They're asking very, very minimal, supplemental from the, Economic Development, Fund. To cover cost of upgrading the fire suppression systems, walk-in cooler systems that are no longer up to code because I think the coolant's from like the 70s, which you can't use anymore. So again, a few items and also a new sign that would be tied to the building like we've done in the past. Mark, what was the amount that we came to with the safety agent?
It would be up to $40,000 and would include the cooler system upgrades, the walk-in cooler,
Fire systems?
fire alarm system, and the water heater.
Water and the
Commercial-
sign.
commercial water, yeah.
Right, yeah. So it's called Jerry's Barbecue, it's gonna be called.
And they have to, maintain the business for X years.
Yeah, the same agreement we've done in the past, and it has to be stuff that's tied to the building, cannot be removed. They have a business currently, is it Burbank?
Yes.
Okay. This will be a sit down, I think 30, 40 people. If anybody has ever been to Latin Rhythm, it's been closed for a decade now, but same layout, he's gonna cosmetically improve the property. But yeah, barbecue restaurant.
That's nice.
He's very excited, and he's buying the building, so this be contingent on him closing on the
Oh,
building
that's
too. So we're not giving anything without him closing on the building. No major announcements or anything, so clerk, you got anything?
We're working on 4th of July. As of when I left the office today, we have 52, participants, and we did get a verbal confirmation out of the Shriners. They're the Pirate Shriners, something like that.
Yeah, that's Masonic temple.
I got a verbal confirmation. I should get the paperwork in tomorrow. We're doing, but we did get a lot of no's from last year because the 4th of July is a Friday this year. So people are having the long weekend. But we're doing pretty good, 52 as of right now, so we're moving forward.
We do have a brief executive to discuss, the different economic development of the property the city owns. City administration, do you have anything other than executive? Aldermanic announcements, reports or comments, Alder Revolt.
Yeah, so this morning or today, the Chicago Sun-Times is reporting a case where I believe is Mount Prospect that's been accused of illegally sharing data that they collect using block cameras like the kinds that we installed a few years ago. I believe that the result is going to be an audit statewide of cities that have put the cameras in. And as you may recall, we passed our own criteria for an annual public report to be produced regarding factors on how we are using these cameras. I don't think we've requested that report be compiled and presented, but I would like to do that. I think it'd be good preparation for this coming audit. I'll have to check the language. If it does not include a provision that cites at least a number of data sharing instances, I would like to ask that that be included.
Thank you. Our attorney's making the notes now. Anything else from the Alderman? If not, we have an executive. Then a motion to go on executive. All in favor, say all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, resume regular session, open the gate, signal the roll. We talked about property issues and possible litigation in the executive session. Promotion to adjourn. Alderman Roll, second by Alderman Ruthenberg, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Night, Alderman. Good night.